do you agree with him that the money messages only come from childhood? Because a lot of our clients, the money messages I'm hearing come from spouses.
I actually agree with David that they are largely from childhood. I think what happens with spouses or in other relationships is sometimes unconsciously affected by those childhood messages. So it may seem like an interaction with a spouse or someone else triggers a new belief about money, but most likely, I think if you really look at it deeply, it's really just triggering a belief that's already well-founded. And the spouse becomes, the next place in which that message plays out. So I think, and I also feel like people choose their relationships in large part in order to replay some of what they experienced in childhood. And not to get into sort of therapy here by any means, but just that's an observation I think a lot of folks will come to the deeper they inquire into their money messages.
So basically, you should not talk to my spouse because I think you just criticized her inadvertently by her choices.
A lot of people seem to play out those conflicts in their relationships with people who have different ideas about money. And we see this all the time with spouses who fight about money, where one spouse wants to save, one spouse wants to spend. And so when you say that people sometimes pick the relationships that sort of allow them to play out these messages again, some of us pick them in ways that are complementary, and some of them are picked in ways that are not complementary.
Well, I think what's more important than whether it's on the surface complementary or not is really whether there's consciousness about what those messages are. I think David Geller was speaking well to that before. I think that, if you do the work to understand what those messages are and how sometimes they can become quite exaggerated, then I think when you bring those beliefs into a relationship, whether a marital relationship or otherwise, you can at least have a little bit of openness about the possibility that you have an exaggerated sort of experience. David's example in 2009 is a great one, where something can still be a belief, though it's long outlived its usefulness. So I don't know that it's really as critical to focus on whether the person you're in relationship with has similar beliefs or not. It's more important to just be conscious and deliberate in the way you talk about it. And that's where the real challenge often lies, in just poor communication, because there's often some guilt or shame or discomfort even about what our money messages are.